All right, we like to talk about the good trades that we've made in Dynasty football, but what about the ones that we regret the most? What about the face palm trades that we look back on and think, what was I thinking? So what I did is I asked our Discord community, hey, send me through the worst trades that you've ever made in Dynasty, or at least in this last year, and let's talk about it and see how we can learn from those trades. I'm also going to share one of my trades that I hated the most this year, and let's talk about how we can learn from it. Just a fun little exercise. So, by the way, if you want to join our Discord and submit your trades, whether good or bad, link in the description, and you can be a part of some videos like this in the future, maybe. This first trade I'm going to show you is from Fantasy Lord 8. I thought this was hilarious because of the context. He says, you can see the trade on the screen, Trevor Lawrence, the 102 and the 109 in this year's rookie draft. And then he got in return DeAndre Swift in the 208. So let's read the context. He says, so this happened in a 10-team superflex, and I'm the team on the bottom. Prime example of why you shouldn't drink and trade. I mean, I love Swifty, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got taken to the woodshed on this one. Yeah, I mean, look, what can we learn from this? Don't drink and trade in Dynasty football. When you consider that it's potentially Breece Hall and, let's say, an Olave at the 109, a George Pickens at the 109, it's a pretty rough trade, especially in a super flex league where Trevor Lawrence still has a lot of upside. So it's not the worst trade in the world, but yeah, the lesson here is do not drink and trade at the same time. Shout out to Fantasy Lord 8 for bringing that one. All right, this next trade is from Kickin' Wing. And the context says, I don't have a screenshot, but I traded Kyle Pitts for Hollywood, Claypool, and Albert O earlier this offseason. Had absolutely no depth and thought that this trade would help provide that. So what can we really learn from this? I think there's a big lesson that we can learn from this trade, and I think it applies both to Dynasty and redraft leagues. The answer typically is not quantity over quality. If someone in your league is sending you trades and saying, hey man, let me help you out. Let me fill your roster out a little bit. Let me give you some depth here. Let me give you a depth trade. Red flag. This is not something that we want. You want the quality, not the quantity. With that in mind, I mean, look, Hollywood, Claypool, and Albert O, all decent pieces. They all have some decent upside. But this team doesn't get better losing Kyle Pitts. And the lesson here, I guess, is, yeah, quantity is not always the answer. You want quality players, young, elite quality players, and that is what Kyle Pitts is in this scenario. So shout out to Festive, who has this third trade that he submitted with us. He says, I got Bateman, but friends with the owner. The entire league thought this was a fair trade because Bateman hadn't done anything and he needed depth after Henry went down. He sent me this offer and said Bateman was a throw-in. Oof, that's rough to say Bateman is a throw-in. I don't know what you guys think about Rashad Bateman, but for us on this channel, we like Rashad Bateman. We would never consider him a throw-in piece. So what can we learn from this trade? Obviously not really for Festive because he got the good end of this deal, but maybe for his league mate. There's a couple things I think we can learn. Number one, I don't ever do this, so I'm bringing it as something that I don't think we should do. Trade for handcuffs. Do not trade for handcuffs. There are exceptions here, like running backs that are already a part of their offenses. For example, Tony Pollard, Kareem Hunt, Ramondre Stevenson. These running backs who already have work written into the game plan. But in most cases, we really don't know who is going to handle the workload if a lead back gets injured or gets traded or gets cut. 9 times out of 10, those trades are just not worth it. So number one, don't trade for handcuffs. And number two, the second thing we can learn from this trade is don't sell low on unproven talent. We look at Rashad Bateman here. This is an absolute steal for Rashad Bateman. I mean, McNichols, was he ever really going to be the handcuff? No, probably not. But let's talk about Rashad Bateman. He dealt with injury to begin the year, and then he couldn't really get on the field with Lamar Jackson because Lamar had his own injuries. But in rookie drafts last year, Rashad Bateman absolutely was a first-round pick in every rookie draft. Doesn't matter what the format was, especially in one quarterback leagues, definitely in Superflex as well. He was a first-round pick. We all love the talent. And while some people didn't like the landing spot, others were very hopeful. And for me, if you drafted this player, if you drafted Rashad Bateman, you likely believed in his talent. Don't sell low on unproven players. I would much rather wait it out and stash a player than get bad value in return for them. So, I mean, it's the same reason why I keep telling people to stash Terrace Marshall. The trade value that you're going to get in return for Terrace Marshall right now is not worth moving him. Just wait. Just wait on it and see. Let's see what his second year is going to look like. Let's see if a new quarterback comes in and changes his luck there in Carolina. So again, don't trade for handcuffs. Really doesn't make sense in Dynasty, especially if it happens mid-year. And 2, don't sell low on unproven talent. This next trade is from Savcon. So shout out to Savcon. This is a tough one, man, because this is the hard thing about Dynasty football. We don't always know the future. So he receives Calvin Ridley in this trade, and he sends away Michael Pittman and a 2024 first round pick. And his context, he said, "This one will haunt me forever." And I just wanted to clarify with Savcon. I said, "Did you make this trade before the season? Because that would make a little bit more sense to me." He said, "No, actually, I hate to say it, but I made this trade during the season." So what can we learn from Savcon's trade here? Okay, November 21st, 2021. You might be able to see the date of this trade on there. But what can we learn from this? I mean, during that time, I think a lot of people were viewing Calvin Ridley as a buy low opportunity. Let's not forget how the fantasy community thought of Calvin Ridley this season. I mean, even when he took some time off before that London game, I don't think any of us thought that he was going to, miss the entire year. We didn't think he would be suspended the next year for these gambling problems. Does he have gambling problems? I mean, he bet on one game. It's a little bit unfair, but none of us thought that this was going to happen. And I think you would be hard pressed to find any Dynasty analyst or content creator that did not have Calvin Ridley in their top 10 rankings when you made this trade. No one knew he was out for the year. No one knew that he was going to have that suspension. And we all viewed him as, a tier 2 elite wide receiver in Dynasty. So this is unfortunate, but it may be the biggest lesson of all. And that is, you can't control what you can't control. Now say it to yourself. All right. If you traded for Calvin Ridley, say, "I cannot control what I cannot control." And it's true. This will happen. You cannot predict things like suspensions. We don't know these players personally. We don't know what they're doing off the field. Keep in mind that this is a game, so try and have fun with it, even when it doesn't go your way. But I can imagine someone might comment on this video and say, "Well, maybe we should start looking into the background of players' characters. We should maybe vet their integrity." Like, come on, like, chill. How are you going to do that? You know what I mean? Like, it's not really possible to do that for every player in Dynasty. You honestly just have to laugh at this one. You have to laugh at this one and just move on. Say, "Damn, that sucks." But probably what you don't want to do is now trade Calvin Ridley. Just hold him, wait for him to come back, and hopefully he returns to the form that we saw there in Atlanta. But it's uncontrollable. It's why when people are so certain on things happening, you can point to this and say, "Well, we never thought that Calvin Ridley," like this time last year, almost everyone had Calvin Ridley in their top 8 rankings in Dynasty. So you just can't control some things. That's just the way it is. And the last trade I'm going to show you is mine. Yes, this is my trade that you're about to see on the screen. And I feel terrible about this. I mean, I made this last offseason before the season started, but it's worse when you have the context, okay? I drafted Elijah Mitchell in the 14th round of my home league startup, all right? Funnily enough, I actually gave Elijah Mitchell a higher scouting grade than I did Trey Sermon last offseason. Like I was all in on Elijah Mitchell. I loved him. I thought he was a better talent than Trey Sermon. So did Badaki. I mean, we both really loved Elijah Mitchell. He was one of those guys in the 14th round where I thought, man, the upside is there. I like the offense that he's a part of. But unfortunately, I got too cute, and it came down to me wanting to trade for the sake of trading. And if maybe there's any lesson that you learned from this video, and I had to learn it myself, is don't trade just because you want to do a trade. I wasn't comfortable even at that point when we all thought Trey Sermon was a guy to give up a 3rd round pick. I really wasn't. You can go ask Tommy, your boy Bricks Bockley, who I traded with him. I wanted a 2nd round pick. And at the end of the day, there were some other rookie running backs on the waiver wire that I wanted to just stash and maybe get some more draft capital. So I didn't trust my gut. I didn't believe in my talent, in the talent that I saw in Trey Sermon, in Elijah Mitchell. And I decided to move on from him for the 302, for the 3rd round pick. And obviously I can look back and say that was a terrible trade. And it was a dead zone of the year. It was a dead zone of the year. And I just wanted to make a trade. So do not trade just to trade. We love this part of Dynasty. We love the thrill, the exhilaration of making a deal. But sometimes we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, do I really want to give up on a player that I like? Or am I just trading because someone else is interested in doing it and I love it? And the second thing here is wait on the talents that you believe in. I did believe in Elijah Mitchell, but I wasn't smart enough to separate my mind from my heart. So again, if there's one thing that you learned from this video, and I hope this video is good, let me know. Do you like this idea? I have a part 2 coming, so I hope you do. Let me know if you want that part 2. But again, the biggest lesson, and it came from my trade that I think we can all learn, is do not trade just for the sake of trading, because you're going to end up with some trades that you will regret looking back on a year from now. So those are some of our community's worst trades that they've ever made. I got a part 2 coming out soon. Let me know if you like this idea. Comment down below. Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLandFam.